Hello, welcome to the webinar. Today we're going to be discussing how to double your revenue in 2014 with online marketing. Now, before we get started, I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. My name's Tasha Glasgow, and I have worked in SEO for over 10 years. The last 4 years, I've worked as an independent online marketer for several small and medium-sized businesses, and I have ranked for hundreds of phrases in numerous industries. So let's get into it. How are you going to double your revenue in 2014 with online marketing? Now, this video isn't about what type of backlinks you need to be getting to your site or going into depth about SEO. We're going to talk about a few online marketing channels that you can use in synergy to gain more targeted traffic, leads, and increase the conversions that you get on your website. First of all, optimize your website. You want to build an authority site within your niche or industry. So what do I mean by build an authority site? You want your site to be the go-to site for information on your niche or in your particular industry. If you're selling women's shoes, for example, you don't want your site to only include pictures of the shoes that you have and the available sizes and that sort of kind of boring information. You might want to have a section on your blog where you discuss the latest trends in footwear, even fashion, pictures of celebrities wearing similar styles of the shoes that you have in your store, anything that your particular audience might be interested in reading. Another example is a company selling bathroom tiles, for example. Your audience might be interested in topics relating to bathroom design or general DIY home improvement. So you want to ensure that the content in your site is of interest to your audience. The more content that you add to your website can mean more traffic coming to your site because you will naturally rank for a variety of search phrases and obviously the chance for more conversions. Invest in high quality content. Thin articles of 300 words or 500 words is really not going to cut it anymore. In order to be an authority in your niche, you're going to have in-depth articles, in-depth material for your audience. And remember, great content like that can be repurposed. A blog post can be turned into an infographic, or it can be turned into a podcast. And all this type of content can be distributed in different channels and allow you to reach more people. Therefore, more people coming to your site, which is what you want. You need to create a schedule or a plan of the types of content that you're going to be delivering within the next 6 months or the next year. And you need to plan when you're going to do this and where you're going to distribute this content. And it's probably going to be necessary for you to hire somebody to help you with that. If you can handle it on your own, brilliant, but you might need to get someone to write the material for you. And then you can roll it out, do a blog post every week or every 2 weeks, depending on what your industry obviously can tolerate. Think about user experience. This is really important from the point of view of getting increased conversions, but it's also important because Google is starting to factor this in when they are deciding where to rank your site for various phrases. It seems that the relative bounce rate, essentially if a user types in a query into Google and they're on the first page, if they click on your site and then quickly bounce off your site and chooses another result, this metric can affect the relevancy signal to Google and affect your position. So essentially Google's going to see that the user didn't think that your site met the requirements and your competitor did. And obviously you don't want that. You also need to ensure that your site loads quickly, has easy navigation, and also strong calls to action, because this is going to keep engagement as high as possible and also increase conversions. In fact, I came across a study not too long ago that showed that your conversion rate increases 74% if your page load time decreases from 8 seconds to 2 seconds. So visitors are a lot more impatient than you may think. If your site is taking too long to load, they're off essentially. So you want your site to be loading as quickly as possible so that you can capture as many of your prospects as possible. Social media. If you're thinking about ignoring social media in 2014, don't. At the moment, Google hasn't confirmed that social signals are a huge ranking factor, but that's definitely going to change soon, so you need to be prepared. Any traffic that you can get, which is not coming from Google or Bing, is fantastic. So you definitely want to ensure that you invest in social media this year. Also, if your content is shared a lot by trusted social profiles, it does give this quality signal to Google. It says that this site is important. People are talking about it, and it's relevant. So let's rank it high. So it's definitely something that you want to do. So you need to think about which social profiles matter, in your industry. If your audience is not going to be using Twitter a lot, you don't want to really spend a lot of time on Twitter. If your audience is, a lot of them are on Facebook, you need to ensure that you're very, very present on Facebook. You have to do that research and find out where your audience is frequenting. And don't forget LinkedIn. Especially if you are B2B, LinkedIn is sometimes ignored, but it's extremely powerful. And, you can really make some fantastic connections on LinkedIn. So it's definitely something you should keep in mind. And also, don't forget Google Plus. Definitely a social network that has been neglected in the past, but really growing in prominence. So ensure that you set up your local profile, your local business profile on there. You want to ensure that any sort of posts that you're doing on your blog, that you have the Google authorship set up as well, so that's linked to your blog. It's Google's social network, so as they go forward and start increasing the relevancy of social signals, they're definitely going to be looking at people who are using their network. So you want to be prepared for that. So you want to ensure that you use Google Plus as fully as you possibly can. Email marketing. Now, when I say email marketing, I don't mean spam. I don't mean spamming a prospect's inbox. I'm talking about permission-based email marketing. This is still a highly effective method of communicating with prospects, communicating with your customers, and really staying front of mind. Now, one thing that you can do is place your prospects in an email marketing funnel. Now, how you do that essentially is you create content that your prospect wants to read or view, and you ask for their email address, usually via a web form, in order to deliver that content. When they provide their email address and they opt in essentially to your mailing list, you can automatically put them into an autoresponder sequence. And what this does is send them content which you've prepared previously over a scheduled period of time. So, for example, you can arrange for them to receive an email every 7 days or so, which gives them some sort of tips. Say, if you're a financial consultant, for example, they could be getting an email automatically every week from you with some different financial tips or news, etc. And this type of regular content can really help establish your business as an authority within your niche or within your industry. So if you have a really good list of people who are regularly opening your emails, this is extremely fruitful and can be really profitable for you. And you don't want to ignore email marketing. Now, in order to set up these autoresponders, you can use programs like Aweber and MailChimp. These are email providers. They cost $20 plus per month, depending on the number of subscribers that you have on your mailing list. But this is something that you can use for prospects. You can use it for customers. You could segment your customers and send different segments, different content. So it is very important that you look into this. It will definitely increase your conversions, and that's definitely what we're looking for in 2014 in order to double our revenue. Remarketing, also called retargeting. So remarketing is a strategy to get unconverted visitors to your site to return and make a purchase, or whatever your conversion metric is. Let's assume purchase. Typically, only 2% or less of visitors will take the desired action the first time they visit your site. So you want to stay in their minds and bring them back to your site. So this is how remarketing works. A visitor comes to your site, explores, but leaves without purchasing. Depending on which company you use for your remarketing, the visitor continues to see your ads on other websites, which encourages them to come back to your site. For example, if you sell women's clothes and the visitor explored your skinny jeans page but did not buy, the next day they are checking out their Facebook page and they see your ad offering 10% off any purchase of skinny jeans if they buy now. Because this is targeted to their specific interest, it encourages the visitor to revisit your page and buy, really. So it really helps increase your conversions. You can segment your visitors and produce ads of interest to them, which follow them around the web, basically. I know it can get a little bit irritating sometimes if you're seeing somebody, all day long, but it is really extremely effective. Popular platforms would be Google Display Network, Google AdWords, their display network, Perfect Audience. They deal with remarketing through Facebook ads quite a bit, and an ad roll. This is really powerful, and I seriously suggest that you check remarketing out this year if you have not already, because it could really skyrocket your conversions. So optimize your site. Do not ignore social media. Do not ignore email marketing. Definitely do that. And look into remarketing in 2014. If you pay attention to all of those channels, you have an extremely good chance of doubling your revenue in 2014. If you have any questions about the material that I've gone through in this webinar, you can email me info@jolttv.co.uk. You can also check out my website, which is www.jolttv.co.uk. Have a couple more videos on there on online marketing in general. I hope you enjoyed the webinar, and I hope to speak to you soon.